It's where we owned a horse fan company called Carry Horse Fans. And they were the largest based in the Chicago area that did shipping east of the Mississippi. And we transported Secretariat. When Secretariat shipped into Arlington Park, came into O'Hare, and we were the main company that got to bring him to and from the track back to the airport. So I was able to meet, she was Mrs. Tweedy then, but Penny Chenery, and see Secretariat at the barn. And so that would probably be number one. But most recently, my husband is working as a jockey agent for Florent Giroux, and who had the privilege of riding Gunrunner through his Horse of the Year campaign. And so he will be kind of tops of the list now as far as best horses. He was amazing. Absolutely thrilled that I get to follow Charlesy again in this role, because she was probably the first, I think, to do the horseback reporting. But by the time I got to do it, I have to say, I was really fortunate because there were a lot more women around horses and around the track than when I first started working at the racetrack, and definitely than when Charlesy was first doing it. But so it was a pretty comfortable transition. I ponied horses and grew up on the track, and so was around them. By the time I actually started doing the horseback reporting, which was primarily for the Breeders' Cup, at that time ESPN had the rights to the Breeders' Cup. We also did the Belmont Stakes and some other big races. People were a little bit more accepting than they probably would have been when who understand hard work, and if you have a passion for it, then you're in. Then that's been kind of the way, all the way. But I did one story that explains everything that I think everybody can relate to a little bit, and this is a true story. And this, I tell this whenever I'm around a group of people, but they said, how did you get into racing? And I said, well, I really was born in it. My grandfather was a jockey, Hall of Fame jockey, and he rode primarily, rode for many stables, but he was most associated with Green Tree. And he rode a horse named Tom Fool, who was one of probably the greatest horses of the 20th century. And he also rode a horse named Papa, who was a Green Tree horse who won 2/3 of the Triple Crown. And those horses were here in Aiken as young horses and put in their time. And he did spend winters here and would come for the trials when he worked and was under contract at the time for Green Tree Stable. So this is even more special to me to be here and get to see where he was. And we drove by what was the Green Tree property where they would have been yesterday. So that was wonderful. But my father, that was my mother's father. My father got into it a little bit more blue-collar way and never had the horses that my grandfather had the privilege of being around. But he, when I was born, he was a school teacher, but he had a passion for horses on the side. This is in the Chicago area. And when they went to the hospital, there was a long delay before the doctor came in to deliver me. And my mom kind of got worried. I was the first child. And then when he left afterwards, when I was born without incident, my dad came in and he said, was everything okay? And she said, where were you? What was going on? Why did it take the doctor so long to come in to the delivery room? And he said, well, I was selling the doctor a horse. And if you could have held out a little longer, I could have sold him another one. So that's an absolute true story. And about 22 years after that, I'm working at Gulfstream Park doing television work for the racetrack and handicapping in the paddock. And a man came up to me and he said, you don't remember me, do you? And I said, no, I'm sorry, I don't. And he said, well, that's okay. You probably have an excuse. I haven't seen you in 22, 23 years. He said, I'm Dr. Lambert. I'm the doctor who delivered you. So he stayed in the business. It must have been an okay horse.
That's great. At the track tomorrow, we also have in that cart Campbell, we have Gus Chickadance, and it's quite an honor. And as Charles mentioned, Mr. Duchessoir and the family have been very, very charitable to Aiken and all of its equestrian events.
Churchill invested with eyes open, knowing that the Coliseum, the number of casino gaming or historical racing machines that they can have at the track is directly tied to the number of race days. Associated with the horse, associated with the scene, and at every step of the way, think you have a chance. It is the most glorious experience. And when you see these young horses out there, series of horses that went, we say 3 abreast, they were traveling in company with each other and learning their lessons and everything, getting used to being in a crowd situation. That's kind of what it's all about. Everybody here is home.
Because this is my first visit ever here, and I will tell you, it will not be the last. We will be back, and many times over, you all know how to throw a party. That is for sure. And it's also so great to see true horse country. I've traveled all over the world, and I can't think of another place I've been that so embraces the horse and the horse people in every aspect. So thank you for just a magical weekend.
All right, well, we're not going to let you more moments in your broadcasting career.
Well, I don't know about funny, but I've had many incidents where I, in a flash, have to come up with who a rider is, and you sometimes get some names confused, but fortunately they have always jumped in to help me. But I will tell you that probably the most memorable experience for me was in the Dubai World Cup, when a horse from Japan won the race after a major earthquake. With a jockey from Italy, he was crying at the end as I rode up next to him to talk about the victory. And I will always remember the emotion that was involved in that race, and it was truly memorable. But anytime you are around an international event, you see people moved to tears. It's something that stays with you, and it's mostly just appreciation for not just the moment, but especially the horse.
All right. Inside with the big cat. On the outside, the big colors is Aiken Forest. Inside the 16th pole, Livingstone. In front, by 3, Aiken Forest is next. The others are far back.
We went to first base at 14, 13. One horse that wasn't trained by us. Yeah.
Yes, next. And there we go. For finish here of Terry Alphonse. And say it loud. Makes a big statement here this afternoon.
Fíjate una, ahí cuando me pongo en el cuerpo me chingo y se me quita. Fíjate una. ¿Qué sientes si te chingo así? No, le digo Where's Hector?
Dixon, big winner here for Kathleen Holden and Dr. Orwell in the city of Aiken.
I'm still up.
It does, doesn't it? There you go.
Give a big round of applause to these great or crazy ladies. Yeah, ladies, yes, Gallops.
They should definitely remove the
Is there someone in the back that's in the picture, or is they just talking? Okay, everybody make sure you see the photographer.
1, 2, 3.
Okay.